What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and today, this is for all the new Smite players out there. 9.4 patch is coming out. Yu Huang drops in 3 days, and it's going to bring a lot of new players to Smite, because he's a very, very hype character coming out. And so, before he came out, I wanted to introduce a video talking about the 5 roles of Smite and 3 best beginner guards for those roles. So in Smite, there are 5 roles. In Conquest, you have ADC, which is like your bot lane in League of Legends. You have your support, which is like a tanky, obviously support for your bot lane. And then you have the mid lane, and then you have the top lane or solo lane, which usually comprises of a warrior, and mid lane is of a mage. And then you have the jungler, which is an assassin, which kind of rolls around the map. Now, in talking about that, like I said, we have 3 gods for every role that if you are a new player to Smite, you can pick up, and they're super straightforward, but they also have a very high skill ceiling, so you are able to kind of branch out and experience more of the game for yourself. So starting off with junglers, this is usually everyone's favorite class because it is so bursty and you can like one-shot a lot of people, but coming in at number 1 for the best beginner jungler, I'm going to say Thor. Thor is absolutely the face of Smite. If you're not counting Zeus, like the World Championship trophy is Thor's hammer, so he's definitely a big deal for Smite, and he's also one of the most fun gods in Smite. He's really kind of a bread and butter god that really introduces Smite to itself. So the reason Thor's so good is because he has a hammer that he throws that does a crazy amount of damage. He has a teleport in that hammer. He has a super simple wall that he can deploy, and it's also a stun if it hits an enemy. He has a 3 that you really can't miss if you're close to the enemy, and his next big thing is his ultimate. So ultimate is Anvil of Dawn. Thor literally flies up into the air and it smashes down on an enemy opponent. I have some Thor gameplay on my YouTube if you do want to check that out, where you can see him kind of played in a Conquest setting. But Thor is absolutely the number 1 jungle god, and you get him for free just for downloading the game. He's one of the default gods you start with. Going into my next pick for jungle is Fenrir. Fenrir is the newest god to Smite. That's not true, but he is super self-explanatory. He involves around getting runes during his basic attacks, and his runes will upgrade his abilities. So his 1 is your standard jump. It does some damage, but if you do have 5 runes, it stuns. And then his Seething Howl buffs his auto attacks, giving him lifesteal and 2 extra runes. So it's super simple to get runes, and you're able to get them without having to like hit a bunch of people. It's super nice. Brutalize, this is the reason you want to play Fenrir. Brutalize basically makes Fenrir play himself. So if you're having a hard time missing abilities or anything like that, if you hit Brutalize, you're going to do a lot of damage to your opponent, and it's super simple. And then his ult is really fun. He turns into a big giant version of a wolf, and he can bite one enemy and carry them anywhere he so chooses. And it is super impactful in team fights, and also just soloing people and stuff like that. So Thor and Fenrir are my 2 top picks. Going in at number 3, I am gonna actually say it is Nemesis. So Nemesis is a god, and it's easy to break out into because I want to start talking about 2 different playstyles of assassins and kind of hunters in that regard as well. So assassins can be built auto attack speed, or they can be built ability based damage. So Thor and Fenrir, or Thor especially, is an ability based assassin. Fenrir is kind of like in the middle. You can build him both at auto attack or ability, but Nemesis is going to be fully auto attack. For the most part, you can build some ability items on her, but this is a super straightforward kit. Her first ability is a dash that you can activate twice, and so it adds a lot of skill in canceling her dash and auto attacking and everything like that. And then her 2 is called Slice and Dice. It's just a big cone attack, and if you hit the enemy in the middle, it slows them, so you're able to stick to them really well and just hack them down with auto attacks. Her 3 is a shield that is actually a very good shield. If you activate this, it gives you obviously a shield, and it heals you for your damage reflected, and it also reflects damage back at the enemy. So she's really good at 1v1ing people she catches in the jungle. And also there are some really nice auto attack cancels with this ability. So if you click, use your 3, and then click again, it's like an immediate auto attack. and it adds a lot of skill ceiling to this character. So the reason all these 3 characters are in this list is because they're super simple up front, but they have a very high skill ceiling. And then her ultimate is really, really cool. We call it the Tank Shredder because it does not miss. So if you're ever worried about missing an ability, you're not going to miss Nemesis ult. It absolutely cannot miss, but it does do a ton of damage, and it gives you a ton of buffs, and it's able to really strike down anyone. So that is the top 3 assassins for every beginner player, I personally think. There are some other ones that are a little straightforward, but I feel like those ones are the easiest to grasp and the hardest to master. Going into warrior lane, or the top lane, or the solo lane. So my picks for this role are going to be starting off with Guanyu. This is another free character that you get just for downloading Smite. You don't have to spend anything for him, you just automatically get him. And the reason Guanyu is so impressive is because of his first ability, Conviction. It is a AoE heal for your entire team, and this allows you to, even if you're falling behind, even if you're doing very, very bad in-game, which, let's face it, we're new players, it's gonna happen, but with Guanyu, you can absolutely keep helping your team with this heal. Guanyu is also really fun because he does a lot of damage. His second ability is a dash, similar to Nemesis, but it's not able to be activated twice, and it does slow. And so you're able to stick with people really, really easily with that dash, and it does quite a bit of damage. And his third is the Taolu Assault. He swings his big Taolu around, and it does a lot of tick damage, and it also protection shreds enemy players. And so you're able to do a lot of damage just by stripping away protections and everything like that. And then we are Gyobyu Masataka Oniwa. We jump onto the cavalry charge for his ultimate ability, and we swing the Taolu around, and we stun people, and we can also just ride the big pony to get out of any trouble. So Guanyu is super, super straightforward, and like I said, the biggest thing you want with Guanyu is full cooldown reduction in that God Builder, and then just spam Conviction for your team. You're going to be healing your team regardless of no matter what happens, so you're helping the team no matter what. Going into the next warrior is Bologna. Bologna is another free god that you get for this game for free, and also this is where I kind of talked about the ability and auto attack. Guanyu is super, super ability based, and Bologna is super, super auto attack based. So I wanted to give you some variety in every single role. And so with Bologna, she's super, super fun. She switches her weapons with every single ability that she uses, and her first ability is Shield Bash. So this ability is just to dash forward, and you use this sword and shield here, and you're able to just smack through and stick to hunters and everything like that to strike them down while they're slowed. Bludgeon is a huge overhead smash that she does. She spins and she uses this huge hammer to have AoE auto attacks, and it just super, super damaging in the early game. Sickle is probably, Scourge, but she uses a sickle, is probably her most unique ability. So this is just a line ability that you can throw out, and she can disarm. So disarming is the CC in Smite that makes the enemy not able to auto attack. So if that was never scary, Bologna is literally just the hunter killer because she just runs at hunters and they can't use their most damaging things. So Bologna is super good, and her ultimate is Eagle's Rally. It's not the craziest, but she does jump, and she places a Roman flag down, and it gives increased power and protection to your team. So she's super good for the team fights as well in the late game. So if you're not feeling super, super impactful, you can always Eagle's Rally and buff your team. And Bologna is also just super, super fun. She's one of the other faces of Smite. And then going into the next warrior is Sun Wukong, Goku himself. This character is super, super straightforward, but he is another ability-based warrior, but he is possibly one of the most fun gods in the game, I personally think. Magic Cudgel is just a big line ability. His Ryu Jingu Bang expresses forward and then smashes down, and it's just a super, super simple ability. Master's Will is he swings his staff around him and slows enemies and does a lot of damage. His third ability is where Sun Wukong becomes really, really fun. So Smite is third person, and so the reason they're able to do that is because they can do a lot of interesting things with it. So if you use Sun Wukong's third ability, when you're looking straight down, you turn into a bull that knocks up. An ox that knocks up. And then if you look in the middle of your screen with your cursor, you turn into a tiger that stuns if you hit the opponent. And then if you look straight ahead, forward, you turn into an eagle, and you are able to get out of dodge, literally. You can just fly away, become the bird you were meant to be. And then for Somersault Cloud, he jumps up onto the flying Nimbus and heals himself for almost all the damage he takes during a short time. And then he's able to jump down, and he also spawns a clone. So Sun Wukong is one of my favorite characters in this game, and he's super, super straightforward, super, super simple. You can build him a lot of different ways, and he is absolutely super fun. But that is the warriors that I would say are the top 3 best for beginner gods. Going into the support role. Support was a little tricky for me to make this list, but I did talk to my friend who's a support main, and he kind of helped me narrow it down. Starting off at number 1 for support, we have Athena. Athena is a very interesting god. Her kit will seem clunky at first, but the reason we have Athena as number 1 is because she has the MMO tank taunt. So taunt is obviously going to just take anyone who's facing your teammates, and they're going to make them fight you. So Confound is her taunt, it's her second ability, and it does damage now, and it also is just super, super nice. It's a tank with a taunt. It's super straightforward. When you're a tank, you want a taunt. She also has a dash that is able to accrue block stacks with her passive and everything like that. And so when she has block stacks, she absorbs basic attacks. So she's super, super tanky in that regard. She can run down hunters and then taunt them into her team and everything like that. Her third is Shield Wall. She summons a group of warriors around her, and they just explode and do damage. And her ult is where it really gets fun. So Defender of Olympus is a global ultimate, which means you can use it from anywhere on the map, and you can affect the entire map no matter where you are. So say a team is fighting in the mid lane, for instance, and you're all the way in base. You can activate this ability and click one of your teammates and smash down and join the fight immediately with a big taunt, save the day. So Athena is super, super straightforward. I would equate her to the MMO RPG tank. The next god, let me look down here, is going to be Ganesh. Now, Ganesh is probably one of the newest gods on this list, but he's also been out for a very long time. But Ganesh is super, super interesting as a support. So his passive is what's really going to be really crazy for him. So Ganesh basically can't get kills. If you are around your team and you get a kill, you bestow your kill onto your carry or your jungler or anyone who's near you. And that's really good for the support because it gives the gold to the people who are going to carry your game. Not to say that you can't carry a game as a support player, but it does get difficult, and Ganesh makes it so your team prospers when you're on the team no matter what. The next big thing with Ganesha is his ultimate Dharmic Pillars. So this spawns a giant cage basically, and if the opponent walks through the wall, it does a tremendous amount of damage, and it's so fun. So Ganesh also has Ohm, which is a silence. So silencing in this game means that you're not able to activate abilities, and I have to tell you, it's probably one of the most annoying CCs to deal with, but Ganesh will be a good introduction to using silences and everything like that. Alrighty, going into the next support, we have the one, the only Yamir. Yamir is probably, he was the first Guardian for Smite, and he's obviously still super strong. So Yamir's hail to fame is all of his ice ability. So he has Ice Wall, which literally just summons a wall. So if you're wanting to run away from someone, put a wall up. If you're wanting to stop them from getting into your enemy team, put a wall up. It's super fun, and it's also kind of troll. You got to be careful with your wall placements. I personally have trouble with wall placements still, but yeah, Yamir is just super fun. And then he has the Glacial Strike, or we call it the Ice Carpet, and he just smashes on the ground and does a lot of slowing. Frostbeth, this is probably his most good ability. I said most good, and I tried to think of a word to say other than most good, but we're going to stick with it. So Frost Breath is definitely, it's just a stun. You just spit ice at them and they freeze, and it's super impactful. That's a 2.25 second stun, which is absolutely massive. Shards of Ice is his ultimate ability. He lays down on the ground, freezes the air around him, and then explodes, and it does so much damage. It's so fun to do. But Yamir is definitely one of the best beginner gods because, like I said, he has the wall placements, he has freeze, And the wall placements alone make his skill ceiling incredibly high. So if you really want to get good on a support, I would say practice Yamir along with Athena and Ganesh. Going into the mages. Now, mages are the most populated role. They do the most damage, arguably, and this roster is absolutely packed with mages. But the first one I want to talk about is Agni. I think Agni is absolutely the most balanced mage in the game. If you're gonna try and play a mage, I think Agni has everything you want. So his passive, if you have 4 basic attacks, your 2 and your ultimate, will deal tick damage. And that increases your damage a ton. His 1 is Noxious Fume, so he places smoke on the ground, and any one of your fire abilities that go through this smoke will stun the opponent. And it also does a bit of damage, but we do not use this ability for damage at all. It is strictly used for a stun, and a lot of people will say that you have Noxious Fumes on the ground and they'll use it to clear wave. Don't do that. If you're a new player, only use Noxious Fumes for stun, because all your abilities do way more damage. Flame Wave is very, very simple. He just pushes a wave of fire in front of him. It's his main clear, and it does ignite Noxious Fumes. Path of Flames. This makes Agni one of the safest mages in the game. He has a very, very long dash that does stick damage, that does burst damage, and it does activate Noxious Fumes as well. So you can place Noxious Fumes at your feet, and then just dash away, and you're super, super safe. Rainfire. This is Agni's absolutely best ability. Every 18 seconds, Agni gains a flaming halo that can be expended to summon a giant meteor. And it only costs 10 mana. So you get so much area damage for every 18 seconds. You just get a huge meteor that you can smack down, and you can use meteor into Noxious Fumes, and it's super, super fun. It's super, super impactful because you're able to control so much space with Agni. Going into the next god is Ra. So the thing with Ra is that it's just like with Guanyu. Even if you're doing terrible, even if you're feeding, even if you're having the worst game of your life, you can still heal your teammates with Ra's third ability, Solar Blessing. This ability gives protections and physical power and magical power and healing. It's absolutely insane. This ability is ridiculous. And then Celestial Beam is Ra's first ability. You can just run through. It's just a standard sunlight beam going down the road. Divine Light is a very interesting ability. It's an AoE around Ra, and it slows. And if they look at you directly, they are blinded. It's very, very annoying to get blinded, and he's the only character I think off the top of my head that has a blind. And it is very, very impactful in more ways than you would think. Solar Blessing we already talked about is just a very, very good heal. It's allows you to help your team even if you are behind, and even if you're ahead, it's way, way better. Searing Pain. We gotta talk about Searing Pain. This is quite possibly the most clip-worthy god in Smite, just because Searing Pain is a giant laser beam. Think of Lux in League of Legends, but way, way cooler. Searing Pain is absolutely massive. It does so much damage, and it's so clip-worthy, like I said. So if you're wanting to make clips, if you're wanting to feel good playing this game, Ra is absolutely probably the best mage for you. Going into the next mage, we have Giannis. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Giannis, why is Giannis even on this list? Giannis is super hard, but he's also not very hard, and his skill ceiling is monumental. So Giannis is the god of portals and transition. So his first ability is called Portal. You can place Portal on the ground and you'll fall through it, and it does give you increased power, it does do damage, but also you can place Portal on walls and literally portal through walls. It's the coolest thing ever, and a lot of people have slipped. This god came out a long time ago, and it was groundbreaking whenever he walked through walls. It was absolutely insane. Giannis is very, very cool. And his uses 2 orbs that really swim together, basically, and they do a ton of damage. Threshold. And when you walk through it, you get increased power and movement speed, and when enemies walk through it, they are slowed. And his Through Space and Time ultimate is literally Kamehameha. It's Kamehameha, you're Goku. Sun Wukong was Goku, but Giannis literally has Kamehameha. So this is a global ultimate that goes through the entire map. So you can smite, you can one-shot someone from right lane all the way to left lane. And while the orb passes through walls, it creates portals that you can walk through. So Giannis has the probably highest skill ceiling of a mage in this game, I would say, just because Giannis is super impactful. He does so much damage, and he's able to get his team out of dodge or into fights. So if you're looking for a fun mage that has a lot of high skill ceiling, I would save up your favor and buy Giannis. Going on to the next and last class, we have Hunters. The 3 best beginner Hunters I'm going to start with, I gotta go Neith. Neith is a free god you get for this game. You start off with her, and she's super impactful. She has a global ultimate as well, so even if you are behind, you can impact the team with that. And Spirit Arrow is just a root. A root is just basically a stun, but you can still act while you're stuck in place. She has healing for herself through her Unravel, and she also has a backflip that makes her super safe. So Neith is super impactful. There's not really much to say. She is probably one of the most straightforward gods in this game. But if you are a beginner god or a beginner player looking to play ADC, Neith is always a good pick. Next, I'm going to say Anhur. Anhur is... Agni was the most balanced mage. I feel like Anhur is the epitome of Hunters. Anhur is so fun. He has everything you need in a Hunter to really 1v1 the opponent, to help out in team fights and everything like that. So starting with Shifting Sands, he erects an obelisk from the ground, and around the obelisk he slows and increases the basic damage, increases your basic attack damage on enemies that are in the pillar. Impale is he throws his spear, and if they hit a wall, they will stun. So there's a lot of outplay potential you can do if you're near walls and everything like that, but you can also erect the pillar from your Shifting Sands and impale them into the pillar of Shifting Sands, which then makes your basic attacks do more damage. You get the picture. Anhur is the outplayed god. Then he has a jump that is a knock-up. That's pretty self-explanatory. And his ult, he just throws a ton of spears in your direction, and they do a ton of damage. The reason Anhur is on this list is because, like Giannis, he's a super straightforward hunter, but his skill ceiling is super high. And for the last hunter on the list, and the last god of this video, we are going to talk about Cupid. Cupid is worth, I think, less than 500 favor, and you're able to pick him up super early. And this was also the first god that I ever picked up when I played Smite. So Heart Bomb, his passive, let's start with his passive. So every 8 basic attacks, I believe it alters his Heart Bomb. And Heart Bomb allows you to attack an opponent with it, and then it'll detonate in a certain amount of time. And if you have your passive full, it will stun. Share the Love, this is another healing ability for your team. So if you are behind, you can generate some help for your team as well. Flutter is as you basic attack, you gain increased attack speed. As you use this ability, you dash forward, and then you leave a trail behind him. And then if your allies walk through it, it increases the movement speed of themselves. Fields of Love, this is Cupid's best ability. He fires a giant AoE circle on the ground that cripples the opponent so they can't dash out of it, and also it stuns them and does a ton of damage. So that is the 3 best beginner gods for every single role in Smite. If you are still watching, thank you so much. I appreciate it more than I can really say, but I am going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was a long one, but I do appreciate it. If you did like the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, you don't have to, but it does make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside me too. I'll see you guys in the next video.